21.2. Age. When searching the word age, it states that it means to grow old or older. A stereotypical view is that society associates age with growing old, which is true, but people are therefore perceived as getting more frail and fragile, getting more aches and pains that are incurable and can't really be fixed because that's just how age works. In connection to this, people have perceptions of what sports older people and younger people should play, and these sports for older people are sports such as bowls and darts, and for younger people, sports such as football, netball and rugby. So the younger people's sports are more active compared to what is thought as an old person's sport. Also, people think that when a person gets to a certain age, they should move on to an older person's sport. However, there are some athletes that have disregarded these stereotypes and have retired from their sport based on their biological age, so how they feel. The retirement age for a footballer is in their mid-30s or even earlier, but Ryan Giggs retired at age 40, as he thought he was still able to perform at his best even though his chronological age didn't match the typical age for a footballer. As well, a professional netballer normally retires in their mid-30s, but New Zealand's Irene van Dijk retired from elite netball at age 42. In contrast to this, we do have to take into account that there are many physiological changes that occur when aging, as it is a degenerative process. These adaptations affect sporting performance when we chronologically age, and our chronological age is how old we actually are, so how many years we've been alive. However, there are other factors to consider when we age, such as the opportunities that we get to do physical activity. When you're at school, you're obliged to take part in physical activity, as it is part of the national curriculum. As a result, younger people get more opportunities to do physical activities, and this is why more older people end up costing the NHS money for care and medication because they are inactive and are unable to take care of themselves. Another factor to consider is family life and how your social life changes as you age. People have different roles when they get older and might not have the time to take part in physical activity due to other commitments. Within sports, your age when you're younger defines who you play the sports with. For instance, when you're growing up, you are put into teams depending on your age. They put you into certain age categories such as under 10s, under 11s, under 16s, and under 19s. Also, whether your sport is adapted to make it safer for you depends on your age as well. An example of this is within rugby, as under 10s are not allowed to do full contact, as their bones and growth plates are extremely delicate, and if they are injured when you are younger, could cause problems for their growth and development in the future, which I will explain more when I explain the skeletal system and the effects on age has on the skeletal system. One of the physiological changes that occur to our skeletal system when we age is our bone density decreases, which results in our bones becoming more brittle and fragile, so they break more easily. Because when you get older, your osteoclasts and osteoblasts become all uncoordinated and out of sync. The osteoclasts remove more bone than the osteoblasts are making. That's why bone becomes less dense. This is a condition known as osteoporosis. The condition normally affects women more than men due to the menopause accelerating the process because of the lack of hormone production, which I'll explain in more detail when I explain the impacts of age on the endocrine system. However, relating this information to a sports performance, then if you have osteoporosis, you are more likely to get injured and have a longer recovery time because your bones aren't strong enough to build themselves back together at a fast rate as they would when you were younger. However, to try and reduce the effect of osteoporosis, you need to try and increase your calcium intake, as calcium helps with bone growth and development. When you are young, your bones are not fully developed until the age of about 17 or 18. Therefore, different types of exercise can have a negative or positive impact on your bone growth or development. Resistance exercises are not good to do when you are young because these types of exercises can damage your growth plates and may result in changes to the rate at which your bones grow. This then can cause physiological disadvantages when playing sports if your bones have not fully developed or if different bones are longer than the others. It can be very hard to complete specific movements in sports if your bones are different lengths. An example of when this would be challenging is in a sport like football. Trying to complete a volley would be much more difficult if one of your legs was shorter than the other, as it would be hard to judge when to jump to get the right connection with the ball, but it would also affect the power you exert on the ball, because if you have a shorter lever, it is very hard to generate a large amount of force. So to enhance your performance in sports without damaging your bones, then you need to do body weight based exercises where you use your own body weight as the weight instead of additional weights, as this causes less impact on your joints and bones when doing movements. Another change that can occur as you age is your cartilage that cushions your bone when you move thins. This results in bone rubbing on bone as you move, which is extremely painful. This therefore doesn't aid your performance because every time you move it is painful. So this will affect your running action or the rate at which you run it, and also how you change direction and how much power you generate if you were to kick or throw a ball. But there is one type of exercise that you can do to maintain activity levels but without hurting yourself even more when you move, which is swimming. This is because when you swim there is less impact on joints as they move, so it causes less pain. In connection to this, you can have operations to replace and repair cartilage, which will solve the problems, so which will enable you to move pain-free. The muscular system. There are physiological changes that occur to the muscular system when we age. When we are young, our muscle fibers in our bodies are strong, which enable us to contract our muscles over and over again. This helps us move during a range of physical activities and impacts our performance because we can also change the rate at which our muscles can contract. So it allows us to speed up, slow down, get past opponents, and our recovery time will be faster, which results in fatigue being less frequent in youthful bodies when they are doing exercise. In contrast, as we age, according to Williams et al. 2002, there is a reduction in muscle fiber size, number, or a combination of the two. In connection to this, our oxidative capacity decreases when we get older, so therefore has an effect on our performances within sports. Because if there are less muscle fibers and our oxidative capacity reduces, then the force our muscles generate to contract will be reduced due to the lack of oxygen getting to the muscles and the lack of muscle fibers creating that contraction, which means that our recovery rate will be slower as our muscles fatigue more often. In addition to this, the number of motor units that are attached to the muscle fibers decrease as you age, which means that there is a decrease in how quickly signals get sent to the muscles so that they can contract, resulting in slower reaction times due to the delay in the messages reaching the muscles. These factors will hugely affect aerobic sports such as marathon running or long-distance swimming events, for example, as these sports rely on the athlete's ability to contract their muscles repeatedly for long periods of time so that they can complete the event. Another physiological change that happens when we age is our flexibility decreases. This is because there is a major lack of movement when we age, and because of this, mobility decreases. Therefore, there is a loss in our independence as we start to rely on others for help with everyday situations. Physiologically, this causes shortening of tendons and ligaments, which reduces joint range motion by as much as 25%, which can have an impact on a sport's performance in a sport like gymnastics, where flexibility is a key component in order for the athletes to complete the skills in their routines. So that is why typically gymnasts retire at a young age. This is evident during the London 2012 Olympics, as all of the female gymnasts are of the age of 20 or below. This shows that the peak point where you can perform in gymnastics at your best, because you are more flexible, is at a young age. Muscle atrophy starts at age 45 years old. This process is called sarcopenia. But after the age of 17, men lose more muscle than females. Men lose 4.7%, whereas females lose 3.7%. Performances are affected in many sports because this loss of muscle mass results in a decrease of muscular strength. Therefore, the force the muscles generate when they contract will decline because there is less muscle to exert the force when the muscle contracts. An example of how this would affect a person's performance is in a game of netball. If there is a reduction in muscular strength in the arms and shoulder area due to a decrease in muscle mass in the bicep and triceps and deltoid, then the force the muscles apply to the ball when they contract will be minimal. Therefore, the ball might not travel as far as the player wants it to reach their teammate, which results in loss of possession. When we age, we might find it increasingly difficult to get out of our armchairs, and when we do, it might take us a while for our bodies to start moving properly. This is because muscles stiffen with age due to the lack of collagen. In connection to this, tendons and ligaments stiffen with age, which therefore contributes with the increase in number of injuries as you get older, because when you are young, you rarely stretch, warm up, cool down when doing physical activity, as you feel you don't need to because your ligaments, tendons, and muscles are more elastic and are able to stretch without tearing when you do exercise. And if you do overstretch a ligament, for example, then your body is able to repair this ligament very quickly without it causing you any problems in the future. However, Bam et al.'s 2016 states that elderly adults are less responsive to the anabolic stimulus of low doses of amino acids intake compared to younger individuals. Therefore, because of this, elderly people's ligaments, tendons, and muscles take longer to repair, as they need a large amount of protein to fix their muscles compared with a younger person, who only needs a small amount of protein as their body responds and repairs their muscles quickly. So due to this, elderly people take a longer time to recover, which could impact their sport performance, not just physically but mentally as well, as a long rehabilitation process could knock their confidence when returning to the sport, as they might feel they are not as good as they used to be. Or within a team sport, they might feel that they have lost connection in their team, in the sense that they might not gel and play with them as well as they did before. But to counteract these changes, you need to increase the amount of exercise you do, so aerobic exercise and resistance training, so that you try and increase your muscular strength and flexibility in order to reduce the chances of injuries and improve sport performance.